Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the QuickBooks Labs podcast, your UK's #1 QuickBooks podcast, because we're the only QuickBooks podcast. But maybe not for much longer, as we'll talk to in our news about what's happening in the world of updates going forward. I'm one of your hosts, I'm Patrick. I am the QuickBooks chap on YouTube, the newly crowned Digital Disruptor of the Year. Boffics, all that other stuff. I'm not going to go through my whole thing today, but with me is my panel of experts. I'm going to go clockwise round. So Charlie, you're first. Who are you? Why are you here? Tell us why. Go for it.
I am Charlie Khan. I am an accountant in West London. I run a small QuickBooks focused practice. Also use Apron, as you can see from my shirt. And I also run a Facebook group for QuickBooks Pro advisors.
You do. And we keep forgetting to put this podcast into the group. We need to remember to
do that, don't we? We've got to get that sorted. Yes,
yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do that with Lizzie.
Get the technical issues out and get it going. Hashtag audit Amy, go through. Who are you and why are you here?
So I'm Amy Hancock. I run a practice in Bedfordshire, Hancock and Hastings. I am an accountant and auditor. And also I do a podcast called Being Counted a Boss, where I give hints and tips to people starting their own practice.
Love that. And without giving too much away, maybe there's another podcast on its way. Watch, hint, watch this space. And last but certainly not least, Side, tell us who you are and why you're here.
I'm Simon Williams. I am the software advisory manager at Moorkings & Smith, a firm in and around London. And I used to be an accountant and I ditched it off to do more interesting things to do with software because colouring in wasn't my thing. So there we go.
And we're all jealous. All sat here being jealous. We would be nothing without our amazing community. So hello to our community. We've got I don't know if you're trying to say Eeyore here, so maybe is it
it's also we should also say it's good afternoon or good evening as well.
Oh, there we go.
It was good morning.
Thank you for that, Kirsty. And if you got anyone else is lurking around, please do make sure you put your questions in and we'll answer them according to all your comments. Right. Let's go through the news, and I hope everyone's seated here because this one was big. This one took me by surprise. UK Intuit QuickBooks released, drumroll please, and update. That's right. I mean, when I first started QuickBooks Labs, 4 years ago, was it now? Something like that. We used to love these updates. Was our whole content. Without this update, we wouldn't have a podcast, right? And it's been that long since we've had an update. So yeah, if you go over to the Intuit QuickBooks website, although it's not loading very well on my side, so I hope maybe there's too many people looking at this update. Maybe that's what's happening. we can see a breakdown of all the glorious update that's come through. Some of them they've missed out on, so we'll talk about them. But let's just go through quickly the updates they've got there. So QuickBooks Sole Trader, that was the update. Just that they've released QuickBooks Sole Trader, so that's good to see. We want to talk about that in loads, so no need to go through there. The next one was the new invoice experience, which we spoke about on the last pod, if I do believe. Overall, we're really positive about the new invoice experience. Anyone used it in real world yet? Any talks, conversations, or anything? Go for it.
I'm still waiting for the few clients that really want it. I'm still waiting for it. I'm like, come on, but we've got to wait. I don't know where we are in the queue. Yeah, I've got a few clients that have hated the format for a long time, so they're so excited to get it. So as soon as it comes, I'll be on it.
Are they CIS clients by any chance?
It's actually not.
Okay.
One in particular uses projects and does a lot of estimating, all that kind of stuff. So the actual formats are going out really frequently. And yeah, they just don't like it. I mean, obviously my CAS clients, when they do invoices, would like to change it, but that's a story for another day.
Well, that's part of the restrictions, right? So if they use CIS or they use PayPal or go cardless, which is probably 95% of my client base, if I'm completely honest. But if you use any of three of those, and at the moment you can't switch to the new layouts, which I assume, maybe that's NDA, maybe I shouldn't talk about that. Anyone else want to talk about the invoice experience? Anyone played around with it at all?
No,
well,
really.
like Amy, I'm still waiting for it to roll out. I mean, I don't know how speedily they are rolling it out. They're obviously not getting to everybody at once. They're slowly rolling it out to different people at different times. But I've not noticed it on any of my clients yet.
Really interesting.
I don't have it on mine. Either on mine on its like my accountancy practice. I don't have it on mine.
Surely using go cardless or PayPal though.
Nope.
You don't. Oh, now that's a conversation for another day. We're going to have to go into. The next update.
Another podcast.
Yeah. The next update was modern reporting. We've all talked about modern reporting, so that's absolutely fine. Products and services interface improvements was their next update. Low or stock display, which we haven't covered in fairness, but I've done a video on. Basically, it's a nice new UI. You get the opportunity to see low stock easier. Now, I have seen in some licenses a brand new stock interface, which looks really, really good. Maybe it's America only at this point. But again, have a look at one of my videos and you'll see that that's there. And that was your updates that come through. Oh no, data import improvements. So again, we talked about it last week or last month. I keep saying week, obviously I mean month. So last time we spoke about that, we spoke about the fact that there is a whole import products and services from not just CSV and Excel, but also from Google Sheets as well. And they've just made it a little bit more modern when it gets updated in, when it comes through. So it's nice. Makes it so much easier for people to play around with and get to grips with and everything else. So we're happy with that. And then they went on to QuickBooks Advanced enhancements. We've got the automated revenue recognition upgrades that we spoke about again last month. So that's great to see. Fixed assets. They mentioned draft asset creation, which we covered, but also custom accumulated depreciation. I haven't seen this. So we were kind of promised it was on its way. So this was how we'll kind of get around the whole reducing balance not being there. Oh no, sorry, custom accumulated depreciation. No, sorry.
Yeah, still reducing balance.
No,
we're not there quite yet.
I got excited. No, it's just that you can bring in accumulated depreciation from day one, can't you?
And also you can change like what day it starts on. If you don't want it to start on the 1st of the month, you might want to start it on the 15th.
Interesting. Like excellent. That's good. That's a positive enhancement we like to see. The task management we spoke about last week, including multi-condition approval and financial forecasting, which again, we spoke about last month, should I say. And there we have it. There was your updates that came through. In fairness, this is an April 25 update. We're still waiting on the May 25 update to come through. So fingers crossed any day now they'll release that one. Although this was released on the 7th of April 25. So, you know, we're already 2 months behind getting the one to go there. But let's talk about some updates that weren't covered in them that we've seen. I think the easiest thing for me is just show you on this one because let me quickly just take this little bit off here. But we have a new copy feature coming to QuickBooks. And I think this is one that everyone's going to like very much indeed. All right, so if I just quickly share the screen, you'll see in front of me my normal load of expenses. So the idea is you find any transaction you want. So I'm just going to click into bad example. Let's just go to that top one. If I'm going to expense down here, normally if I want to copy this, so maybe I want to quickly put multiple transactions in, maybe something like that, I would go more down here and I'd use copy. And when I press copy, it will just duplicate that transaction for me. Get this is a copy option at the top there, and I can save it, do what I want from whatever I need to go forward. But now we also in the top right hand corner have a copy functionality at the top there. And when we copy it, we get some new little exciting features to play around with. First of all, you get exactly the same experience that we always had, where you can create duplicate, pressing that one, it's going to copy, create the duplicate. This is a copy, blah, 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 blah. Press save. You could do it as you would normally. Or you can now use the copy data to another transaction function. Drop this down. You get all of these options: bills, check, credit card, credit memo, very American terms, because it's talking about vendor credit and everything else. But still, the idea is that it's going to copy the data that's on here. So in my case, 84p going to cash on hand category. Hey, how this product, this transaction even works, but anyway, something's definitely gone wrong there. But the idea here is if I wanted to create this expense and create a bill out of it, for example, I could choose copy to bill, press copy. It's going to take all the information that's in that transaction, dump all the information in, including 84p thing. It would have brought the VAT in as well if I had a VAT available, because I've tested that before. That works quite well. Basically, you're creating a new transaction based on that original transaction. And the fact that now we have all of these extra options to put the information in. So I've got this copy to function, and I've got all of these options here. I think it's really cool. I think there's some really cool use cases that you can bring into play to make this work. So there's a new functionality. What does everyone think to it? Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll make a comment. So the big one for me would have been the ability to copy an invoice and turn it into a credit note. So clients raise an invoice and it's wrong. So you want to raise a credit note for that and raise a new invoice. And you can't do that from there.
No, well, in fairness, I think we've got to wait for the new invoice experience, right? I've gone to the new invoice experience on a client. It's not there yet, the copy to function. But if they're going to do it anyway, they're going to do it in the new invoice experience, right? There's no point in bringing it in the old experience. In fairness. Okay. But you're right. That is a killer feature that I can't wait to come in, which I'm surely is on their roadmap at some point. But that use case alone, creating bad debts or whatever it is you need to do, right? Like that's going to save so much time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But from here, as a bill, I could create a sales receipt. I just don't understand where this, like, am I missing something? Is there a use case for this? So I've got a bill here.
Why would you want to copy this bill to all those different types of transactions? Because you shouldn't be able, or you wouldn't want to.
And are we missing like an obvious use case? Because
if you like, the only thing I was thinking of, maybe like you've got dispersible expenses, right? You then copy this bill to the expense, but you've got billable tick boxes for that, right?
Which is a far more, from an audit point of view, better experience, right? Yeah. And it kind of breaks it as well. If I try and bring this into, say, an invoice, right? And I press copy and press yes, kind of gets a bit confused and it doesn't really know what to do with things because it's services and product services.
There's also no mapping between the intercompany was where it would potentially work.
Good idea. Yes. Now I'm on. Yeah. Now I'm on.
You say, right, I want to send this sales invoice to a purchase invoice in the other entity, but there's that bit missing. But you'd want some sort of mapping thing to say, right, if I've coded it to sales in this entity, it posts to cost of sales in this entity to do that map, because it doesn't know what purchase code maps to your sales code, does it? So maybe it's all building up to be that.
That would be a really useful feature, right? But I think for let me get the anagram right, Enterprise Intuit Enterprise Suite, for those, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Realistically, you probably want to restrict what that drop-down box is.
Yeah. I can't see any normal use cases because you can already copy a bill to another bill.
For bill to a bill, yeah. At least this you could do expense to a bill. For whatever reason, I don't know.
I quite like the journal, that you could do a journal.
I love
you're going to prepay
concept. Yeah.
But the number doesn't come through.
Yeah, like and the thing is the work's already there, right? So if I was to go more and transaction journal, one of my favorite features of QuickBooks is you get to see any transaction within QuickBooks, the debits and credits, and especially for junior staff and stuff like that. Like, this is invaluable to them, right? And trying to understand, oh, we're going to cash on hand and VAT control in this case, blah, 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 whatever it's going to be, especially a more complex transaction. Yeah. So the data's there. They know what that transaction should look like. In this case, it's £101 and 84 and 17. But if I go back to that transaction and do copy to a journal, which, you know, I think you're right, Amy, as a concept, that's amazing, right? We can copy to a journal, press copy, and then it kind of gets a bit confused and doesn't
it doesn't do the numbers, so then you've got to go back anyway and get that. But if it did that, and you could then set up a recurring journal from there, it just saves the clicks of coming out
100%.
New journal, what am I doing, what period, what date, that kind of thing. If it could populate the journal as well, just with that whatever number it is in the debits or the credits column, I don't even care which one it is, just if it goes in there as well, then it gives us just a few less clicks, and as we get older, memory. And
also, like, you've got the option of adjusting journal. You could reverse the journal as well, right? Because that's where I see the use case of this. You've gone in, you're doing your end of year review, you found a transaction that's clearly needs to be written off. There's no argument for it. You know, you don't even need to ask the client. You've made that decision, you've made the call. Using that copy feature would actually be quite useful, right? Because you copy it, go in, you create the journal entry, or however you want to do it in, you know, whatever your business or your accounting firm or bookkeeping firms like said, that's how we're going to write off. Like, an adjusting journal is probably one of the nicest ways to do it, right? Because it is very much a case of the accountant's gone in, they've made this adjustment, you know, go from there. So like concept wise, this is brilliant, and I love this copy to feature, and I love the fact that you know, from a journal entry, maybe there is a reason to have every single one of these here, right? Because then you could create it into the actual transaction or whatever, right? Or whatever it's going to be. But I think from the other transactions are out there, we need a more restricted list, because there's just there's no real concept for it unless you are in enterprise suite, aren't you? And then at that point, if it gives
it's not filling it in, as Amy was saying, it's not filling the numbers in, it's not putting. So I've just done one from an expense that should be effectively, you know, debit motor expenses, credit bank, and I turned it into a journal, and all it's done is got the account,
the one line,
motor expenses. It doesn't have the bank on the other side, and it doesn't fill in the numbers and doesn't tell you which is debit or credit, but it has brought over the VAT code. That's it. And the description, but that's all it's done.
And the attachment comes in. The attachment does come in. So actually, for a prepayments and accruals thing, it would be good from that respect.
Hashtag audit Amy is happy at this point.
It's the worst thing. You've got to go and find the invoice from a journal.
One other thing, and I don't know if it's an issue or not, right? But if I've copied something, so at the moment I've now copied this description, right? And I'm just using things so I can copy and paste it. If you use this copy functionality and you create it, so in my case, I'm going to create a copy and I'm going to do it to an expense, for example, and press copy. It looks like the mechanism that's doing is it's using your clipboard. So now what I had copied and what I was ready to kind of do here, if I now go to paste, that's disappeared. I don't think that's the end of the world. I don't think that's like a massive problem, but it'd be nice to have kind of been pre-warned about that. Or I feel like that's something that we need to tell more people about, right? Because I don't know about you, but as Simon says, you know, he hates colouring in. I don't think I colour in all that much. All I do is copy and paste. That's my whole job, right? So, you know, so much so I bought a mouse with special copy and paste buttons on it, right? Just to make my life easier. But the fact that now my clipboard's been overridden, it's a weird thing, right? And I don't 100% know why they've had to do it that way. But
I clearly don't copy and paste enough. Didn't even know they did a special mouse for copy and paste.
Oh, look, copy and paste buttons. That's all I do on it.
I mean, for me, copying to another transaction that's the same type is very, very useful. I use it all the time, but it already exists, albeit it's 2 clicks away.
Yeah.
copying
to
an
be fair,
existing
it's still 2 clicks.
yeah. I mean, it's more obvious where it is, perhaps, but
Maybe.
that's it.
Yeah, maybe that's good to shout.
But copying to create a different type of transaction, I suspect would confuse more people than it would help. People who know how to do that properly and understand it, like us, would. I mean, to be honest, what I would just do is I would open a separate tab and have one tab with the original, one tab, and copy and manually and paste each field I wanted to. People who don't understand exactly what they're doing, it will only work if the thing is smoothless, and at the moment it's not smoothless, as we just described. It's not filling in all the fields, it's not bringing the numbers. So I'm not sure what value there is. The big one that we've mentioned already is invoice to credit note, which will be hugely valuable.
Yeah,
and
you might not know the answer, but I'll ask anyway, Charlie. But is this already in Right Tool? Because this is the sort of function I'd expect a tool like Right Tool to have, right? Maybe they don't have this exact one, but
they do have a lovely little. So let me just sort of brief update for people who don't know, not seen me talk about this before. Right Tool is a piece of software that it's an add-on to the web browser that's designed specifically for QuickBooks and adds a bunch of features, and it's been designed by some QuickBooks specialist accountants in the States, and it's a fantastic tool. So they've got various things. For example, there's already buttons that you can copy description to the memo. I'm just opening one up now to remind myself. There's about 3 different things you can copy. Copy names to memo, copy descriptions to memo, copy memo to descriptions. So it's got things where you can do copies within the transaction itself, but I'm not aware that you can copy to a new transaction, but
okay,
that might be sure.
So I've got it, and it does have copy to, but then when you go in, when you click, so say you do an expense, you want to do an invoice. I don't know why you would, but I've just clicked on that. Nothing feeds through.
Okay, so they're having a similar way.
But there's a list.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just wonder if this copy feature is almost what's the right phrase? To make sure they're feature parity to a competitive tool.
Yes. Yeah.
What I'm trying to, I wonder if that's kind of where they're coming from this one. Because, yeah, you're right. We already had a copy feature, so we were never expecting this. We're loving it. I think it's a good concept. But it was just a left field, let's put it that way, to what we were kind of expecting from future updates coming forward. Let's do our thumbs up, thumbs down rating of this one. Let's start with the concept of this, because I think that's the fairest way to do it. Concept of a copy to another transaction. Are we saying thumbs up or thumbs down?
Give it thumbs up-ish.
Oh, it's a wiggle from Sai. I was not expecting that.
I think if it had the other things that I want, like if it had the intercompany stuff, then yeah.
But from a concept, sure. I think I not thought about that. I think let's hope that's where they're going down.
That's right. Concept, yes.
And then thumbs up, thumbs down for current implementation. Yeah, it's not quite doing it for us, is it?
Needs a bit of work.
Yeah, it needs a bit of work. 100%. And it needs to be on the invoice. Like once it's on the invoice, then we can see use cases. Then we can start getting excited for it. But they're going to have to get the new invoice experience, because there's no point bringing it to the old one, right? I keep it away from that. But for the new one, for the new invoice experience, we need more files to be ready to utilize it, and that'll be a really good feature to have it on there. That gives a reason to go to the new invoice experience straight away, right? If that copy to features there, copy to a credit note, boom, job done. Even delayed charges and stuff like that, I can see opportunities there to bring those in, and I think there'll be nice workflows coming through. All right, let's move to friend of the show cheered about this. So Kirsty's was cheering on Ask the Accountant when we spoke about it. But let's see what everyone else's thoughts is. This is relation to the fact that tags. So for anyone who didn't know, tags was ready to be chopped from QuickBooks Online, and it was, let's put it was mixed reviews on if people were happy or not happy about it. Some people just didn't care. Other people who were utilizing it were quite upset about it. But they've kind of come to a backtracking of sorts as to what it is. So originally what was going to happen was tags was going to be completely removed from the product. And to soften the blow, they were giving us an opportunity to use custom fields, and custom fields were getting a bit of a glow up, and they were having the opportunity to have a drop down box and go through from there. They produced a tool so you could export your tags to the custom fields, which was a nice concept, and bring that through from there. But they've now backtracked on it, and the backtrack is that they're now going to have the opportunity to keep using tags if you had activated them before the 19th of May 2025. That's the right date, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And it going to be live until there's a date, isn't there? 2028 is what I remember.
2028, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So the idea would be then that if you've already used tags in your solution before, tags will still be there. It's not going anywhere, and you can still use it to your heart's content, just exactly how it was. But if you've never used tags before, then the tags feature won't be there, and you can never use it. Before we go any further into this, thoughts straight off that one is this: should we, like Kirsty, be absolutely ecstatic and jumping around, happy, or is it kind of a meh topic? Charlie, you want to go first? Let's go around the room.
Well, I didn't use it I've used it a bit. It's quite nice. Given that they clearly see a lot of work in supporting tags, and they've got the custom fields enhancements, which are definitely, better, and you can do more with them. I think they probably got the best solution here. So if you're already, if you're not already using it, you're not going to need it, because there's different and better ways of doing it. And if you are already using it, they're not going to piss you off by getting rid of it very quickly. You've got a few years left to use it and work on something else. So I think they've dealt with this actually rather well. So I'll give them a thumbs up.
2028 sounds like a long time away, right? So we should be fine.
Yeah, I think that's a good, sensible solution. I think they've done well on that.
Si.
It's a nice thing, but not very. I was thinking earlier, was that how many clients are actually my customers actually using it, and I could probably count on two hands how many are actually utilizing tags, because they were using custom locations. And so yes, it's great for the ones that have been. I know there's one that was waiting to find out more, because they're like, we've got an update for you, and I'm like, come on, what is it? So yeah, it's great. I think 2028, and I said they're going to review it again, so it probably means it's going to carry on. If you've already got it activated, just carry on. I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know if we should go into this, if they say you can't add extra tags at some point, and then you're locked at whatever number you've got, which is what kind of what we talked about with the classes locations kind of thing, wasn't it, before?
Yeah, good point.
I can see it going down that route.
Yeah, or it'll be one of these. It's just not supported going forward, so use at your own risk, sort of thing, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Amy, what's your thoughts?
Unfortunately, I don't have any clients that use tags.
Even on
I haven't used tags.
So for me, my clients who used it the most was randomly the self-employed clients, like on the self-employed
Really?
podcast. They love tags. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know what they were gaining out of it, but yeah. Even your self-employed / sole trader ones, they weren't using it at all. No.
I mean, I'm still battling with some of them to get bank accounts. So some don't even use QuickBooks. Most of them don't even use QuickBooks. Yeah. So the few do, no. And even going through again, like Simon said, a lot use classes and locations, and actually on that one's just gone and got rid of loads, so they don't have to go up. So tags hasn't affected me. I've just been a bystander, seeing what people have said and the uproar with it. So I wondered if it was the masses that made this backtrack happen.
Is it the masses though? Look, I was when they first said tags were going, I would have been the first person to get my picket fence out. I'd have been down at Intuit HQ, and I'd been supporting the movement to save our tags, right? Because tags is one of those features that, in my opinion, never got the right time in the limelight, right? And not enough people even knew it was even there, or what the feature was, or what it was there for. But we used it quite a lot in our practice. Mainly for us, it was an opportunity to find a transaction again. So what we use tags for is if a transaction maybe needs, like if a junior wants to question if they've put the right VAT analysis on, or if they want to ask a question to a client or something like that. Tags was a great way just to set it so that you can easily find it again. It was a tool, so it was a discoverability tool in our practice. That's all we ever used it for. Quickly, that transaction we need to come back to, set a tag to it for full review or whatever was set on there. Really easy to find, and it made our work in progress and workflow of reviewing jobs super easy, because we could just go through the tags and kind of go through from there. So that's why we would have like battled to keep it. I think the fact that not many people used it didn't really do it any justice. I think if more people had kind of understood the use case for it, and it wasn't instead of classes and locations for other things, I think it might have had a better adoption, and I think it would have probably have saved itself kind of going forward. Because my only frustration about this is that, and maybe because we're in a privileged position because we've been to accounting councils and things like that, but we were told the reason it was going is because this particular product wasn't able to be migrated over to the new modern reporting. And what we've been told is that everything needs to move to modern reporting. The good news is, and because we've been told this, it makes more sense, that everything in the modern reporting means it's all in one big database, meaning that a lot more things can happen. Because at the moment, what was happening was in the old or the current QuickBooks, if you like, is everything has its own like databases, and there's all these different databases, and there's this reporting package for here and this reporting database for that one, and it was getting confusing, right? And it was slowing down the system, it was getting difficult to make updates, it was causing problems and everything else. So the way we were kind of told, and when you told about why a change has to happen, and you sat down and you explained to it, you take a step back and go, you know what, fair enough. If that's what they're going to have to do, and we're going to get a better overall experience, then take my tags and I'm happy with it. And that was how I was feeling. So even though I was affected by, almost 50, 40, 60, 70 maybe percent of my client base were going to be affected by taking tags away, at least, I could see the future was brighter, and I was like, okay, fair enough. Let's just rip the plaster off now, and we're going to have a better scenario all around. And then now they're backtracking. So either they're going to maintain this legacy database that won't ever get affected and won't ever go in. And does that mean that there's resource hog that's going to happen? Surely, I mean, maybe not much, but wasn't the reason they were taking it away in the first place was trying to give back resources or something, I assume? Like, otherwise, why would they take it away at all? And now they're backtracking it with, well, we've now got a split in our client base. We've got people who have tags and people who don't have tags. So if you're supporting your clients, you've got to first find the question is, well, do you have tags in the first place or not? If that's, the support you're trying to give, or, partial exemption client, for example, that we use tags on and things like that. R&D clients we use tags for because it was a nice way of just tagging up the R&D costs. Now, if we need to offer support, we've kind of split the user base in two, and we kind of figure out, are they pre-tag or post-tag and things like that. And I just feel like I'm happy that we've come to a compromise, but I feel like either the reporting and this modern reporting thing isn't that big a deal, and maybe we shouldn't have to kill all the legacy databases because we can maintain them apparently, and we can keep them if we need to, when we were told we couldn't keep them before. And now we've got this split of the 2-1. So I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. I just don't feel like this is the solution we needed, especially when they'd already released the migration tool, and a lot of people were using the migration tool and already gone through and migrated, right? Because that's what we did on all ours. So yeah, what do people think?
Do we know?
Is this the best way? Is this the best solution? Go for it, Charlie.
Well, so previously you could have one custom field on Simple Start, and I think 4 on Plus, and 12 on Advanced or something. Is it now 12 on everything, or is it still limited? Because tags, I think, you could have hundreds of them. I can't remember what the limits were on tags. Hundreds of them. So
and make them on the fly, right? That's what tags were. It was like you literally could just create one there and then if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. So you could have unique things, and as you said, Darren, earlier on, is like, if you just want to search for all transactions that have got a code XYZ in it, because that's the code you use to reference something, that's it. Great. Now, if you have got 12 custom fields in every version of the license, that's probably going to cover most people. But if it's as it was before, where Plus has only got 4, that's a bit limiting.
They added one extra custom field in there as part of this tag update from memory. I don't think Simple Start ever had tags custom fields before. Maybe I don't think they now have.
Yeah, no, it did. Simple Start. Well, you may be right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think this is one of the benefits of tags going away. Was like, oh, we're going to give you all extra custom fields, and we're going to give you this enhanced custom field that is a drop-down box. So
yes,
I think that was like our, way to, and that's what I mean. Like they're giving us cool, toys and sweeties to kind of take away, like to help the pain of taking away tags. Part of me feels like they should just get rid of it. Like if they've gone to all this effort, should we be more decisive and stuff like this? I'm the first person to defend keeping legacy stuff and don't want to upset clients and everything else. But the way we was told and the way we were sold this is that this has to go. There's no other option, and now there is an option. So I don't know. It just muddies the water, doesn't it? Simon, Amy, any comments?
I imagine the people that are using tags might have hit the limit for the migration. I reckon, and that might have stopped it because you can only migrate 100.
Oh, is that true? Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So I wonder if that's been part of it as well, in that you've created so many tags, you've gone way over the 100, and then they've realized the larger proportion of people that are using it have put more than 100 tags, and therefore they're going, well, we can't migrate.
Yeah, and the problem with this migration tool or the new one is that you could only have one custom field at a time, whereas tags, you could have multiple tags, right? Like you could have.
And that's the thing, if you had 100, you then had to create a new custom field to have your next 100. And then, so you were using the custom fields for every 100 tags that you had. So I wonder if that kind of changed their mind on it a bit as well.
And force their hand a little bit. But I mean, am I overreacting to the idea that it's a resource hog? Is it going to be that big a deal or not?
It's quite common on like larger systems where you have different databases for different reporting, and it's a pain. And there is just in the whole general base of accounting software, there's definitely a move to have one database for everything, so you can slice and dice data as quickly and as easily as possible. That seems to be a big shift, like not just for QuickBooks but for other platforms as well.
Yeah,
because that's where people are spending most of their time.
Suppose you created a custom field and you called it tags. And it was not the drop down one, because that picks from a prefix list, but you left it as text and number. Could you in that field type any combination of text and numbers you wanted? And supposing in your previous tags you had A, B, C, D, these were all the different tags, and in the new custom, and sometimes you had A, and sometimes you had A and Z, and sometimes A, P, and B, whatever. If you just put all of those into one custom field and then search that field in reports for any of those characters you wanted, I wonder whether that would still allow you to do the same thing.
That would work brilliantly if you could search custom fields, which currently isn't an option, right? That's going to be something that I'm going to have to fix at some point, right? The modern reports and everything else, it has to bring back custom reporting.
I suspect that's where I would hope, certainly, and I would suspect that's where it's going, and they're just bringing it into a simplified system and a more powerful system. But as you say, it needs to be able to search on that.
Because I think the other problem with custom fields is if you don't click the right box, right, it can appear on the invoices as they go out, right? Whereas tags could never, because tags was only internal.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So
you've got to be very careful with the setup, didn't you?
Yeah. Now I wonder if that's another consideration of, well, custom fields doesn't quite fit the bill, right? It doesn't quite do what it needs to do. So yeah.
I've just created a tag.
You've just created a tag. We're past the 19th of May. What are you doing? That's it. QuickBooks is broken.
Did you activate it as well? Or
I've never used tags before.
They've not been turned on.
You must have turned it on in that file, even if you didn't use it.
Yeah.
Amy's favorite new feature, even though they've taken it away from her.
Oh my god, I love it. I wonder how long I've been using it for.
Is that how it's going to work? You, me, and Kirsty.
Yeah, I've just created a tag and just tagged some invoices.
Yeah.
And run the report, so it's worked.
Yeah.
But I've never used it before.
And we can't use on any
Sorry.
clients you have going forward. They are the 19th of May has been and gone. So unfortunately,
the alert came up. The alert came up. It says tags will no longer be supported after May 16, 2025. Instead, you can migrate tags to custom fields for tracking and reporting. I just ignored it. Just create the tag. Sorry.
The system. She's
they're going to turn me off.
Blindly ignore it. See what happens.
Don't turn me off. I found a feature I like.
Found a feature like a bit late, but you found it.
I know.
And tags was also QuickBooks Labs, one of the first ever episodes.
I think that was one. Bring back QuickBooks Labs, that's what I say.
Oh yeah.
I should just go back to colouring, shouldn't I, Simon? Just go back to colouring. Don't look at tags.
I've got one quick update as well. One very small one, then we'll go on to our final talk of the day. Really quick one. They've released in product now a new banking as alert feature. I know it's really small. It's just a screenshot that I got from it. So now we're going to get a bit more notes, because at the moment I feel like that banner that appears occasionally is a bit confusing to people and everything else there, and because sometimes they don't care, right? So
people don't look at it either. And also being in the client, even from a QBOA perspective, you have to go to that little thing and then see in the big little list where your client is, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully it means they can give us more information, like the fact that there's a temporary connection issue. That's actually they've never told us before. Now they're telling us a little bit more information. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that it means we get a better experience of our banking going forward.
Just
go for it.
I mean, we've got, I can't remember how long ago it's been there, but within the QBOA screen at the top left, it tells you how many bank connection issues you've got, and you can bring up the list of clients, which banks they are. That is a very useful feature.
It is not many people know about it, right? But it is a useful feature.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's just chuckles. Honest.
What you don't?
What's that, Si?
Literally just talked about that about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, sorry. I was too busy. Sorry.
I mean, to be fair, Charlie has been on stage before talking about they wish a feature that we'd already shown. So
that is true, yeah.
It's forgetting what we talk about on this show.
True.
All right. So Accountex 2025 Intuit with their massive stage. Now, first bit, and I want to know if this is controversial or not, but where was our castle? Was I the only person to care that the castle wasn't there? We were promised multi-year of that castle.
I was glad there was only one stage for one place for QuickBooks, because probably there was like two areas, wasn't there?
Oh, the stage was in a different area, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, no, much better use of the real estate, and I think I didn't get a chance to see the stage at the space at all, because I was at the accountant's stand all day. But talk me through it. What was it like? Did you miss the castle? Did you not miss the castle? Should I care the castle wasn't there?
There's a blimp.
It did have a blimp, yes, yeah. And the water fountains were all Intuit QuickBooks as well. So the water just tasted that little bit sweeter, and the best water I've ever had, going forward. So yeah, go for it. Amy, do you want to go first? You were very excited about the old stand, weren't you? Go for it.
I went straight to QuickBooks as soon as I got there, and
thanks. Don't bother about us, the accountant then.
I wanted the best swag. So I went there and I had to play the game to get the swag, and it was receipt capture. Actually, Crystal Maze, full on receipt capture, but you had to get the green receipts. So I was getting those receipts, but I only got 3 green receipts. And then you were
feel like you were on Crystal Maze? Did it feel like that experience for you?
I did go in looking. I did look at other people before I went in to see what kind of technique was going, and a lot of it was on the floor collecting as much as possible. But actually, my team member Natalie beat me. She got 6.
And what was the swag on offer? What were they giving out?
So you were given a rate. I think it was ABC or 1, 2, 3. I can't remember which one it was, and you could only pick based on that. So The gilets were back.
Oh, they're back, were they?
Love
Nice.
the gilets were back. There was like a picnic bag. I got one of those. Water bottle, chocolate. Trying to think what else there was. It all went pretty quick, though. A lot of it went quick.
Were those microphones actually real? Because I saw someone saying about microphones that you plug into your phone.
So this was Intuit Accountant's social media page that posted about the mics. There was a limited number, and I kept following round trying to get one because I wanted to podcast the next day, and I still haven't got any mics. So, but when I found day 2, when I went up, they'd all gone. So I think it was part of the social media team.
Okay.
To actually get those, but I was hunting them down, hence I went there first. But yeah, they had that. They had a racetrack. I didn't do the racetrack, but there was a massive queue for that at one point, doing the Skeletrix. They had a nice photo booth, which you got the photos put on a wall outside.
Nice.
Loads of stands with doing demos and everything, loads compared to prior years. But I did ask about the castle. The castle is no more.
Oh, no more heroes.
Is that
I did.
Killed the heroes behind the campaign? Has that gone now?
We're not heroes anymore. We're powering the possible.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. That is our new slogan, isn't it? Yeah. So they had to get rid of it, haven't they? They couldn't. Yeah, you can't power the possible while you're sat in your castle, can you?
I do want to know where it's gone because I did say I wanted it for the back garden for the kids. Because get a slide.
The ultimate swag.
I mean, can you imagine? Yeah. So it was a really good stand. Loads of people there all the time talking, going through demos. So, and obviously our lovely Simon and Charlie both did talks.
Oh,
You didn't attend either of them, though, did you, Amy?
I didn't. I'm sorry.
They were so important, Amy.
There was a lot at Accountex. Okay, I had to get through it.
Yeah, Accountex in general. I mean, I've been doing it. I'm trying to work out how many years I've been going, and I think as long as I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years, as long as far back as it can go. I would say when I came in, it was probably one of the busiest stuffs in there.
Yeah, I mean, it said 12,000 people went through the doors.
I jumped the queue. I played the.
I didn't
card.
Yeah. And they let me go straight to the front and in the front door. But the queue was from the event space all the way out the door by custom house, which was mad. I know they had a few issues with getting people in, the exhibitors in as well. So I think that was a Wi-Fi thing.
Exhibitors had their own way, but yeah. We were just a different way.
But yeah, it was good. There was a lot going on. I mean, the talks were good. I think they were well attended by people who wanted to know a bit more rather than just go to they were both on MTD for income tax, as in mine and Charlie's. I think people just wanted to find, rather than go to the HMRC talk, which was already very high level, talking about what HMRC, etc. are doing, but what practical tips can they have for their practices, really? And that's really what it's talking about. It was very similar to MTD for that. Like, make sure you get all this stuff lined up and don't leave it to the last minute was kind of the gist of the half-hour sessions, really.
Good. Did they push QuickBooks Sole Trader much so? Because I went to a ICAW event, which I was talking at, and it surprised me the Intuit were there and they didn't push, or they didn't mention Sole Trader. It was like, it's almost like, I don't know, if it almost feels like they're not seeing the potential of that for MTD. Because for me, I mean, we'll talk about it in a new up and coming podcast that we may be hinting towards. Watch this space. But there's for me, I feel like it's the number one MTD product at the moment, right? Like the idea that you connect a bank account and in theory, ready to file there and then with a bit of check-in. Like that's how powerful that solution is.
We talked about it. It wasn't just me on the panel. There was Chloe as well, who's obviously different. And that's the thing, like we have different size practices.
And how they're going to be affected, right?
And how that affects, and different types of clients. And my sort of client base is more of a case of they're probably already going to be on software and probably be VAT registered because of the types of clients we have. Therefore, they're probably not going to be on Sole Trader because they're going to be on Essentials or Plus. Whereas Barry's clients are very much they're on sole trader, right? So it was more practical tips then on how best to utilize sole trader. You know, make sure they have separate bank accounts. You know, all the stuff you'd hope they were already kind of doing already. But yeah, it was good. We didn't go in depth around what sold. None of it wasn't like a sole trader demo. That was if you want to know more, go and see one of the many demo guys that are around that can then show you this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and it's a hard one, isn't it? You sometimes you be too product heavy, too product selly to do that. But I was just confused why at the event I went to there was just no mention of sole trader. It's almost like we're not supposed to talk about QuickBooks Sole Trader, you know, when for me goes there. Just a quick one, Flipping Rich. Hi, do you guys take questions at all? Yeah, put your questions in. Unfortunately, though, because you're on Instagram, we can't do the old show like we have here with Kirsty, who says, "Oh, live update. You can now add tags." I don't use it much, but don't make things taken away. But I think we already covered that one. Any more on AccountX before we move on?
I would have liked to see more around advanced. I think there's still that big play. There's little bits of it. I think they need to shout about it more. I think.
Yeah.
And the additional things that it has.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because it's still lagging behind the US product, and I think if we were on par with the US product, there's so much we can talk about.
I think that was one thing to think about, and probably doesn't affect you as much as it does affect me, was there's way more mid-market stuff at AccountX than there has ever been.
Well, because of Access and everyone else.
Well, in ones I've never even heard of.
Oh, really?
Come out of nowhere. Like you had obviously the likes of Access and iPlicit and Intact and all that sort of stuff, but then there was other ones that I'm now having to follow up going, where have you come from? Like,
wow, that's brilliant.
Which is great in that space, and it would be great, you know, it's finding out more if they're going to stick around, or, you know, I know there's been products in the US that have come here and failed because they didn't quite get the same traction, but it seems to be that's the play at the moment.
Well, next year they're definitely pushing back because they want this FD area, so they want to try and get that mid-market, the actual, you know, people working with the mid-market products, right? So it could be an opportunity there to bring that in next year, because if they really want to push that, because 12,000 is a huge number. I'm shocked that it got that high, but if they want to kind of go to the next level, they need to start bringing in the industry accountants and everything else, don't they? So yeah, it makes sense for more mid-market, more FD role, FD focused going forward. So that'll be really cool, and that's good for everyone, because the more of those sort of tools, and surely that means next year, if possible, Intuit Enterprise Suite would be a bigger.
I think that's got to make an appearance, I think.
Yeah.
Before some of these, obviously you've got the you know, you're always going to have the likes of Sage and iPlicit and Access. They're like the big hitters in the UK, right? And the NetSuites and all those sort of things. But some of these new ones might take a jump at where QuickBooks Advanced QuickBooks Enterprise wants to start in the UK, and they don't want to miss that.
Yeah,
be my opinion.
I get it. Anything else on AccountX before we quickly just cover the US news?
Just quickly to echo Simon on the advanced thing. I briefly mentioned one of my clients that was being pushed into the advanced space, and they've gone and they've reduced all their classes and their locations that they're using. The actual communication out was more like a panic, you're going to be upgraded. But actually, when you start looking at the workflows, which I've been doing more and more, because obviously we've got the licenses as accountants, there's so much more that people can do to save time and automate things using advanced. So they do really need to push the advantages of going on to advanced more, rather than panic, you're automatically being upgraded, it's going to cost you more money, blah, blah, because then people are going to go, oh my God, I'm going to try and not get upgraded. But actually, there are benefits to it.
Yeah.
I've long thought the biggest.
Right? None of us really have done enough to push advanced. Go for it, Charlie. But yeah,
I was just saying, I think the biggest advantage for QuickBooks Advanced is the spreadsheet sync. Yeah, and I think they should do at all that. They should be doing far more and show the kinds of reports that you could create in a spreadsheet that sync directly to QuickBooks, automatically update, Because there are people out there spending an absolute, and I'm not denigrating these other products which do things that the QuickBooks Spreadsheet Sync can't do, but whether it's Fathom or Spotlight or Futurely, all these other products which people spend an absolute fortune on, very often those licenses are much, much more expensive than the QuickBooks license. And if QuickBooks spent some time saying, look, here's some examples of the kinds of things you can do in advance with Spreadsheet Sync, then people start saying, hold on a second, we're spending 40, 50 quid a month on these other products. We could do most of that or some of that in QuickBooks Advanced, which is less than that extra on our existing Plus license. I think that's a trick they're missing.
And it's not just reporting, it's task management as well. But my whole practice, my bookkeeping practice, or my bookkeeping side of my practice runs on Spreadsheet Sync, because every time an invoice is raised in product for a client and it has the word, the service line for bookkeeping, because of Spreadsheet Sync, that goes automatically into my task management solution and it dishes out the task. Like, there's cool things like that we can shout about, right? And we can show people why this is such an amazing thing, because that's worth infinite amount. I'd pay 3, 4, 5 times for that product, right? So there's enough to shout about that. I think it does come back to it's on us, right? It's not just Intuit on this one. I don't think enough of us a push in advance, but I do feel like some of that is because we're just missing some features, some killer features that will just make it an absolute no-brainer, right? Cool. Quickly on the US side of things, just so we covered them, QB Ledger can now be billed annually, which is an interesting play on that one. So we'll see how that goes. If they bring it to UK and come from there. Do we need it annually? I don't know. Unless they give it a massive discount, I don't really know what the benefit of going annually is. I'm unsure on that one. But it was asked in the US and they delivered, apparently. So they asked, you delivered was their thing for it. And then they've just really gone heavy on the AI stuff, which we're not going to go into too much now. But it's looking exciting, and we just need to have our chance to play with it more to see it going forward. One weird one is that they're pushing convert to recurring payments. I'm confused. Maybe this is a mid-market thing that I never need to worry about, but yeah, they're big push at the moment. They're big, like, wow, look at this. There's recurring payments going forward. Though there must be a use case I'm not 100% au fait with, but yeah, that's their big push in the American side of things. Any quick one on that? We got a question that came in on Instagram. I'll quickly cover that afterwards. But anything else?
No.
The US side, no. Does anyone see the ledger going annually a positive, or is that?
I will have a question. Are any of you using Ledger?
I am. Yeah, I'm using Ledger a lot. Yeah, for any of those clients that are on Xero or anything like that, we use Ledger for them. And for any clients that, because we're getting quite
use QuickBooks working papers, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so we just
so therefore you're using it not because you like the product particularly; it's just a cheap way to get them into the QuickBooks license for work papers.
Yeah, and we've, for some reason, we had this policy of we never take clients on without some form of cloud accounting software. We've had quite a few come through because of MTD and stuff like that, and Ledger's just perfect for them, and they're happy to pay whatever we charge them for it, the pittance that is for Ledger. So it's working quite nicely. So yeah, I'd say we're doing quite a lot on Ledger at the moment, and it was just one of those. It was feature parity to Xero, right? Xero had a Ledger product, QuickBooks didn't. Now they do, and it makes things a lot easier going forward. Cool. Quickly on the question that came on Instagram. Again, I'm sorry I can't bring this up, but I think the best thing for you to do is just use my LinkedIn and just book a session with me, because it's not really QuickBooks related, but I'll quickly cover it for you. Hi, do you guys take questions at all? Basically, in short, I'm looking to go full-time reselling soon. After looking at turnover and profit, etc., I realized that VAT threshold would ruin me. However, I then discovered the VAT margin scheme. Is that what you recommend for full-time resellers or second-hand stuff only? And then goes on to kind of put some numbers in there. Honestly, look at the flat rate scheme when you first go in. So much better for you. You should be down to like 7.5% off the top of my head. That's what you want to do when you first get into the VAT, and then it won't ruin you. And then margin schemes are really good ones. Global margin scheme will work really well. In QuickBooks, though, it's a little bit of a pain. So I've done a video on it, on how to set it up, how to get through, but it is definitely worth doing. But have a booking with me. I'm always happy to have a chat and chew the fat over it and go through from there. Cool. Any more news that I've missed, people? Any more news you want to bring up about the world of Intuit, or do we call it a day there?
I think we call it a day there.
We call it a day there. Nice one. All right, so let's go around the room then. Where can people find you? Plug away. Charlie, you're first.
The best place, well, you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find me on Facebook, where I run a group for QuickBooks Pro Advisors. So come along, join the Pro Advisor group on Facebook.
And hopefully this time next month we'll be live to that group as well. Hashtag Audit Amy, where people find you, and plug away.
Yep, you can find me, probably easiest is LinkedIn, like everyone else. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and also on Apple, Spotify, any other podcasts for Being Counted to Boss.
Nice. And Si, plug away.
I'm the most boring person here. I'm only on. You can find me on LinkedIn because that's where work is. And that will be me. Yeah, there you go. You find me on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. All right. Well, apologies for. I feel like we missed a month. I feel like April just went and went into it. So apologies for that one. But as you can tell from the news, not even Intuit QuickBooks UK were able to put out an update for in between May and April. So maybe we didn't miss anything for you. But do keep an eye out on the Ask the Accountant Network. We have some new shows in the pipeline that I know people are going to be excited for. So do keep your eye out for that one. And as a personal plug, go watch the Accountex grid walk, because that went live today. And yeah, really good insight into what Accountex was like behind the scenes, all that sort of stuff. So go and have a look at that one. And that's it. That's been another exciting episode of QuickBooks Lab. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to use the comment section if you want to ask questions for the next episode, stuff like that. And basically we will see you all in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.